Finance New Orleans Board of Trustees meeting roll call. Chair Edgar Chase IV.
Present.
Vice Chair Andronika Morris.
Present.
Secretary Treasurer G. Wade Wooten.
Present.
Board Member Giselle Johnson Banks. Board Member Charles H. Brown.
Present.
Board Member Stephen Smith. Board Member Hunter Thomas. A quorum is present.
Thank you. And thank you all. This is the September 27th Finance New Orleans Board of Trustees meeting. We have no old business, but an update. And really the update is really glad to see all of you all since Hurricane Ida. I hope there wasn't major damage to many of you all's homes and residents. I hope everybody's families are all settled in and had minor impact. And if they had major, they hopefully figuring it out the best way they can and let us know any way we can help. So I'm glad everybody's here who's able to join, and we'll get started. We'll move right into the consent agenda. I see that we have the Finance New Orleans Board meeting from August 23rd of 2021, as well as the Finance New Orleans Finance and Investment Committee meeting from August 17th. So if you all had a chance to review those minutes,
Mr. Chair, one
Yes.
interruption. We were unable to reach a quorum today for our Finance in New Orleans Finance and Investments Committee meeting. Those minutes would have been reviewed in today's meeting. So we will refer those to next month, okay?
Sounds good. So,
Thank you.
so we're just for the consent agenda today, we would only be going over the August 23rd Finance New Orleans Board of Trustees meeting. And that would be the only motion for approval of those meeting minutes.
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to access the minutes or the agenda. Wade Wooten helped me out quite a bit on being able to observe the meeting today. I had some difficulty, and when I brought up the meeting agenda, I clicked on the picture, picked on the we went through the steps together, and at the very bottom that says click here, I was able to then access the meeting. So I'm not familiar with what's on the agenda. He told me that there were no action items, though. There were no action items on both the Finance and Investment Committee meeting, and there were no action items on the agenda today. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct. Yes, sir, Mr. Brown. I think right now we're just, and I'm aware that you were unable or currently unable to see the prior meeting minutes. That's the only action that we're looking for approval is the approval of the board meeting that happened on August 23rd, those minutes, but nothing else on this agenda.
Okay.
We'll need to vote.
Again, I'll make that request that if I could get a hard copy of that, I've asked for it several times, but I'm requesting it again, just for the record. So I still have not received it. Thank you.
And I apologize for my tardiness, but I did make it here. Just wanted to let you guys know and say hello.
Hey, Bro Hunter, how's it going?
Good to see you, Mr. Thomas.
Welcome. Doing well, Mr. Brown. How you doing?
Okay, just the storm got a lot of property damage on several properties, but I'm all right.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, and hey to everyone else as well.
Everything's okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion then to
approve the board minutes from what? August, right, August 23rd, I can't, right?
The August meeting.
Yes, wait, August 23rd.
Okay.
2021. Yes, sir.
I forgot what month I'm in. I apologize. The August 23rd, 2021 meeting of the board. So I'll make a motion to approve this.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. And I believe I saw your hand up too, Ms. Morris. I think you might be on mute. No. Well, it was moved and seconded by Mr. Thomas. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the meeting minutes have been approved. We'll move right on into the presentations. There are no new business. So we'll move right on into the presentation and discussions. And starting up with the Finance and Investments Committee.
Give me 1 second, please.
Wait, I have it up.
Yeah, bear with me 1
report.
second. I see
Sure,
it.
take your time. Mhm.
Just trying to juggle my talking points with the presentation. Okay, so I guess let's just move to the market update on pages 5 and 6. With regard to the U.S., COVID Delta variant and supply chain continue to be a drag. The economic activity, but market demand remains strong. Consumer prices increased at their slowest pace in 6 months last month. The slowdown aligns with the Federal Reserve Chair Powell's belief that high inflation we've been seeing is transitory. It's expected that the Federal Reserve will lay out plans in November to start scaling back its monthly bond buying program. For the past year and a half, the Fed has been buying at least 120 billion of bonds each month, providing direct support to the financial markets and the economy, helping to keep rates lower, encourage development. This tapering likely represents the first step into future rate hikes, though. The 1 trillion infrastructure plan, that's trillion with a T, the bill that passed in the Senate last month to help fund roads, bridges, airports, schools, and other construction projects is up for debate this week with a likely vote sometime thereafter. And a date has not been set for the larger 3.5 trillion, again with the T, social welfare and climate bill, which is still in negotiations. Turning next to the rates, bond yields were mixed over the past month, with the 10-year Treasury moving down 2 basis points to 1.34, while the 10-year muni moved up 5 basis points, trading around 0.88. Mortgage rates also moved slightly higher month over month, and are likely tied to the expectation of reduced asset purchases from the Fed. But overall, the rates still remain at historic lows. Moving next to local developments. The most recent published Orleans Parish unemployment rate decreased to 10.3% in July from 12% in June. So that's a good trend. Again, though, despite the decrease, recent studies show concerns. The decrease is really tied to workers dropping out of the labor market altogether, which was never encouraging. Across the state, 58,000 workers dropped out of the labor market entirely, more than 20,000 of whom were leaving the job market or in New Orleans. And then turning next to the financial status report. As of August 2021 year to date, this is on page 7. This provides a comprehensive view of our year to date revenues and expenses. Overall revenues year to date were 98,000 versus a budgeted of 268,000. So the shortfall is driven primarily by multifamily income. We did not close on any of the pilot or bond projects, but we have several active applications in the pipeline. Moving next to the expense side of the side of things, we're favorable to budget by about 270,000 year to date, with actual year to date expenses at 1.2 million versus a budget of 1.5 million. Primarily favorable in all the categories, with offsets in software and subscription and business development, those 2 categories. If you move forward to page 8, please. This page provides a 13-month trend of our revenues and expenses. Both revenues and expenses for the month were below lower than year-to-date averages, with expenses coming in well below the prior month, primarily due to the timing of invoice payments. Rolling to page 9, the balance sheet year-on-year comparison is what you'll see. And again, the balance sheet composition remains consistent, and there's really nothing of note to report. Page 10 focuses on pathways, revenues, and expenses. Total revenue is 2,000 year to date, and expenses were 28,000 year to date. Page 11, cash and cash equivalents at month's end. Our cash and cash equivalents were 9.9 million at August month end, which is lower by about 114,000 versus the prior month at 10.1 million. That is it for the report, unless there's questions, comments. Well, then I yield the floor to the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Wooten. And we'll move on to the program's committee report.
Muted here. Sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. I was doing the thing where I was talking without being muted. Well, while being muted. Good afternoon, everybody. So, and I'm pulling up my talking points as well. We did not have a meeting this month, unfortunately. And so we don't have major updates to share. Sorry. Oh my goodness. I've got too many open windows here. Let's see. Where is it? I just had it. Oh goodness, I'm having like real problems with my computer here. Hold on one second. And I just had them. Got too many. Okay, here we go. So one big thing is that, and this is a big deal, we can't close loans when a hurricane enters the Gulf. So that also impacted the team's ability to move forward anything new. One good piece that we will get started on is talk about the Community Support Fund. They've had their first utility assistance payment in August of 2021. So we'll get some more details about that at the Programs Committee, and we can share that with you guys at the next board meeting. There were no closings for on New Orleans, and as the program's been decommissioned, and the The Green Mortgage Program did get to that one closing that we were talking about at the last meeting for one borrower, but like since with Ida and Nicholas, that meant that the staff were, they weren't able to do any closings. Big point about the Sustainable Developer Pipeline, 53 projects, 18 with active applications in various stages. And, one thing that we were working on, the program committee was working with staff on, was to bring back before everyone the Christopher Holmes project, as it needed another round of approval from the full board. With everything going on with Ida, those deadlines have been reset a little bit. They're going to be reassessing and bringing that back. Hopefully, maybe not quite as rushed, but maybe as staff warned, this is one of the first projects we've done of this scope and this scale. And they are flying the plane while they're building it. So it's why we've asked them. The programs committee has this as a standing item under its old business. So whenever we meet, we will be discussing this project to get an update on it, because there could be a change. There could be, there very well could be a timing where it's going to be really, really fast. So if the program committee is up to date on the project, we can credibly recommend it to the full board for advancement of its next phase. So those are the big discussion points around the programs committee. Any questions?
The Christopher Holmes project, a review of that project is in the minutes of the program committee, or?
For the last meeting, yes. Well, we didn't meet in September, so it would be for August.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Yeah, it's an old housing development, corporation. They've been in the business for a long, long time. I knew the founder. As again, I'd love to be familiar with some of these projects. And as again, I ask you as chairman, would you please see if I could get hard copies of that information? I've offered to pay for it if it's delivered to me by courier. If it's cost, I would absorb some of that cost. If it's mailed to me, great. If it's sent by staff, great. I'd love to see that project. And also, the second thing I wanted to ask you about on the multifamily developments, I had requested from Jade, our counsel, some time ago. It's not called a HUD one anymore. It's called a closing disclosure statement. That's the new name for the good faith estimate of the Truth in Lending Act disclosure. But I think, as I recall in a meeting, you had also asked that it be sent directly by electronically to board members because you wanted to see that information also. Again, I'm making that request that be complied with, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Brown, this is Jade. We have turned over all of the closing documents for those pilot closings that have closed. I'll double back with staff to make sure that you receive it and the rest of the board members can receive it electronically. I apologize. I may have made the assumption that it was sent to you. So I'll double back with them and make sure that you get it.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jade. It's just the school, the Chef Matil project, and the Gentile project. Those are the only three we've closed. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I'll wait for receiving them. That's all. I'm finished. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions on the programs committee reports? Hearing none, thank you, Vice Chair Morris. We're going to move on to the executive management report. Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Chair Chase, and good to see everyone. I hope everybody's doing well. considering what we've been going through over the last few weeks. Naj, are you able to share your screen?
Yes, if you'll give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And while Naj is pulling it up, I'll just go ahead and get started on my remarks. In short, Ida has slowed down everything. That's been the theme of this meeting, but we're still pushing ahead. We have green mortgage improvements that we want to make. We have a pipeline that's still being nurtured. So that's top of mind for us. The Sustainable Developer Program, as we've talked about, has a project set to close in November. It went through the State Bond Commission this month. So that's a milestone for us as an agency, as a city. It's our first bond deal through this new Sustainable Developer Program. And that also will have a pilot associated with it. So first, what we expect to be many bond deals in the future of Finance New Orleans and the city of New Orleans. Also, we're continuing to work on receiving funding from the National Green Bank or Clean Energy Accelerator. We're working closely with their staff on the advancement of that plan. We had a meeting last week to talk about the results of the survey that the Clean Energy Accelerator staff put together that included the network of green banks around the country. And we participated in that survey, which is basically to outline how we would use the funding received from the National Green Bank. And we put out our ideas, the other green banks put out their ideas, which were very similar, but also there's some unique things about every green bank that we're going to be borrowing from to continue to make our platform better. So we'll keep pushing forward on trying to get that funding. And we're still working on rolling out the strategic New Orleans plan, our strategic plan and the Resilient New Orleans finance plan, working in tandem with City Hall. I actually had an opportunity to do a presentation with Mayor Cantrell earlier this month to the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative annual webinar. So that was a pretty good audience and an opportunity for us to be on the same stage as the city talking about what we have planned through the Finance New Orleans operation and how the city is going to support that in the long run. Connected to that conversation is the need for what we're estimating is at least 100 million in capital over the next 10 years in order to reach our $1 billion target goal. We're able to make progress on that $1 billion goal without capital, but we'll only get so far. And that's why we're spending a lot of time working on different sources of funding, everything from the city of New Orleans, the municipal bond market, impact investors, foundations, commercial banks. We're leaving no stone unturned in terms of figuring out how we can get an enhanced capital base that will allow us to achieve at least $1 billion impact in our city. Also, we have the 2021 investor webinar coming November 2nd. We did a webinar last year in partnership with the city and NOLA BA, and we're continuing that work this year. The audience last year included commercial banks, foundations, insurance companies, mutual funds, investment banks, other market participants, and not listed here, most importantly, are individuals. We had some people from the community that participated in that webinar and had some really good questions and feedback. So we're going to have something for everybody, and this is a part of our ongoing investor relations strategy. Next slide, please. Again, no real movement on our strategic action goals. These are some pretty big ones, and we're going to continue to work down this list. But for the third and fourth quarters, we're going to keep focusing on rolling out the strategic plan, focusing on the fundraising, and launching projects within the Resilient Infrastructure Fund and the Innovation Fund. We've had conversations about what we have planned for Resilient Innovation. There'll be more talk at next month's board retreat, but we do have a unique strategy for how we want to tackle innovation moving forward. And that's simply making sure that we're experimenting all the time, that we're making investments in our programs at all times. In the past, I know Finance New Orleans has had a research and development committee I think Wade, you were around during that time where we had an active R&D committee and you were looking at different projects and programs. Well, we're going to be doing that internally from a staff perspective, and we'll involve the board. So more to come on that particular issue, and then also continuing to invest in our technology needs. Next slide. No real update here on the board, on the scoreboard either. We'll continue to launch projects that are in our developer pipeline, sustainable developer pipeline, and we expect more green mortgage volume as we make those adjustments and as we roll it out to the community. We have it in order, we have things in order, but we've been taking them one by one. So the community at large really doesn't know about the green mortgage program just yet, outside of everything that we've talked about publicly so far. But as we make these improvements to the inner workings of the program and it adds more value to the community, we'll have more volume on that particular side. And that concludes my report. Are there any questions from the board? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Thanks for the update. It looks like as we get back in gear and start to pick up some of that momentum that we had prior to Hurricane Ida, I see that we're getting ready to get back on pace and start the introduction of the green mortgage program out into the community as a whole and get that going and continuing on with these other developments. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments at this time.
So we don't have any public comment. Is there any other questions before we adjourn? If there isn't, I will entertain a motion of adjournment.
Chair Chase.
Yes,
I do have one order of business that I'd like us to address before we adjourn.
Okay.
We have our upcoming board retreat, which is something we do every year. And as y'all know, before we had to deal with the pandemic, we would have these retreats in person and there will be day-long events. Well, we've modified it since we're now working from a digital perspective. So we'll send out an agenda for next week or next month's meeting, but it will be a little longer than the normal board meeting. So Naj, we need to poll the board, and we can do it now, or if y'all prefer an email, once we hang up from the call, we can do that too. But basically, we need to know what's the best day for everybody in October so that we can do the retreat. And we just need extended attention during that time so we can work through a number of issues, let you put your ideas on the table and hear from the board or hear from the staff what we have planned for next year and start looking at some early budget estimates. So we just need a little bit of time in order to accomplish all of those things in October.
Are you thinking about any, Damon, could you narrow it down to perhaps the weeks you're contemplating in October? Like the week starting October 4th, or I'm just giving you an example.
Well, it will be the same week as the board meeting.
Okay.
And, of course, we're meeting on Mondays now. So I don't know if Monday is the best time for everybody to spend 3 hours, into a detailed retreat. Normally we do it on Thursday or Friday. That's what we've done in the past. I suggest we do that again, but it's really up to the board and what works for your schedules.
Would that be the last?
I also want to, Damon, if you allow, please, and board, just to remind you that we will also take care of board business at the retreat as well. So just keep that in mind. That will be approval of the minutes. It would be our financial update as well. So just keep that in mind, okay?
Yeah, and that was going to be the question I had. If everybody's available, could it be as simple as moving a board meeting up or starting this meeting maybe 2 hours ahead on that October 27th to capture everything? Are you thinking the next board meeting, with coming off of Hurricane Ida, getting momentum, we would have action items, or would that meeting be similar to this meeting?
So here's what we're looking at. We're looking at November holidays as well as recovering from Hurricane Ida. I think what we should do is, in lieu of the Thanksgiving holiday, is push the board meeting a week above, because we're on the 4th Monday of the month. Or maybe maybe 2 weeks ahead. So that way we can still enjoy our Thanksgiving holiday, as well as have a board meeting and board retreat as well. So I'm thinking maybe either the 1 or the 2nd week of November, if that meets y'all's pleasure. I'm happy to send out a doodle poll just to see what folks do, but I think if we nail it down now, that'll help us prepare.
Yeah, and I guess just for clarity on my end, we were saying the board retreat would be in November, not October.
Well, I mean, it just depends. I mean, we would have an October meeting anyway, right, the 4th Monday. We could definitely slate the board retreat then. But just depending on how folks are making out with their recovery with Ida, we can also slate in November. October would be better for the organization, though.
And is that something you all, I guess you just said it, the organization would be ready to do the retreat on October 27th if we had those 3-hour time frame?
Yes.
Okay.
But I one of the questions, Chair Chase, you were asking though, is that would it be a problem because today's meeting had no action items. And there were things that we were supposed to take up in September that have been delayed. So we're going to have, those items are going to come back. And if they come back in October, and we are also doing a board retreat, then we're facing down a full board meeting with a slate of action items, and then combining that with a retreat. And I think that was your question. Was that going to be too much? Was that going to really be able to get to keep make sure that everybody could participate fully, and then we do what we need to do. We do the organization's business, and we take the time necessary to plan. And I didn't hear an answer to that question. Like, do you all think that Christopher, for example, was supposed to have some new revisions, everything's been delayed? We haven't had a program committee meeting this month, but I can't, I would anticipate that those developers and the staff are working together feverishly to get the project back on target, and that it will show up in front of the body in October. It's a complicated issue, and then we're having this robust conversation and going into a board retreat.
Damien, my gut is it's too much. I mean, usually the retreat agenda is pretty robust. I mean,
it is.
Yeah.
I just wanted to offer you guys either October or November, just depending on what works best for you. I know as we approach the holidays, people start making plans that kind of run up in that week. So, I mean, whatever you guys are okay with, we're happy to accommodate. Just let us know, either the October 4th Monday or the November, which would not be the 4th Monday because of the Thanksgiving holiday, of which we will be moving up by a week or so. So just let me know what works, and I will go ahead and schedule accordingly.
So wait.
But I think what we're saying is that we don't want the retreat to be the same time as a board meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So here's what I suggest to the board then. The retreat, we've consolidated the agenda in light of everything that's going on right now in the world, but also just moving forward, we have our strategic plan now and we have our direction. So we think we can spend less time in the retreat, more focused on, hearing ideas, hearing feedback, and fine tuning the plan for next year. That being said, we only expect the retreat to last about 2 to 3 hours this year. So I think we could do a special meeting, or host a special meeting, and that special meeting be the retreat in early November, because we still have to present to the board a budget in November for approval in December. So we also have some projects that want to be finalized in November by the board. So the November board meeting agenda is going to be pretty stacked too.
And mind you, this is going to be a public meeting because we have a quorum. So just to let you guys know, this won't be something separate like a committee. This is going to be an actual live meeting because we will have had a quorum. So I'll let you guys make that decision. Most times in my experience, we, in boards that I've worked with, we've done like a short board meeting after the retreat. And so both are done in the same day, within 4 hours. And the agenda would be built out as such.
Gotcha. Can, just while I have everybody, let's look at the schedule for that Monday, November 8th. Keep on radar October 25th. If nothing comes through for this month that's coming up, right? If our agenda is gonna look just like this for October meeting, maybe there's an opportunity that we can handle that business. But if not, is everybody good with that Monday, November 8th?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure, did you say October 25th or October 27th?
October 25th is that Monday. The 27th
Okay.
looks to
Very
be
good. No, I'm fine. If that's
Yeah.
the Monday, okay. I just don't have a calendar in front of me. Very good.
Gotcha.
So we're looking at November 8th as the board meeting or the retreat?
November 8th as the retreat standing. And if there is an opportunity to tackle it on October 25th, if there's going to be nothing on the agenda, then maybe that's an option, but pencil in November 8th.
The 25th would work for me, moving that meeting up. So we'd move it up, what, 2 hours, y'all said? So it would go to 2 to 6 would be the schedule?
About correct.
Okay.
Well, Board Member Morris and the rest of the board, we do have business that needs to be handled during the October board meeting for the Christopher Holmes project. At a minimum, we'll have a public hearing during that particular meeting.
So then the 25th is out.
Yeah, they want. I mean, there will at least be something on the agenda in October.
Well, let's just pencil in November 8th then, if everybody's available.
I
Okay.
can do 2 p.m. Yeah, on the 8th. Can there are holds already. If those can be updated, that would be great.
That'll work.
We'll be very productive with the time, considering we know we'll have a few meetings in November. So we'll be very mindful and try to be as efficient as possible for the board and the community.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other question for Mr. Burns. On the preliminary bond approval, how much was that preliminary bond approval for? And have you assigned the professionals that will be involved in that, like bond counsel, et cetera, for that bond issue?
Yes, it's a $35 million bond issue, and bond counsel is Butler Snow. That's the lead on the project.
Okay. I'm
And
sorry.
Wayne Nephew is the lead counsel with
Okay,
Butler Snow.
very good. Excellent, as a matter of fact.
Thank you. Anything else on that one, Mr. Brown?
No, sir.
Okay, was that it, Mr. Burns, or did we have to?
Yes, that was it. Thank you.
All right, no worries. If there's any other questions, if not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Okay.
All right, see you all later.
All right, see you.
All right, guys, be
See
safe.
you. All
Take
right,
care.
guys.
Have a good night.